Literally just went through a whole flipping podcast, recorded the whole thing, and it didn't. It said everything was streaming, everything was working, everything was firing on all cylinders, and then when I actually go to my YouTube channel, it's not there. So I have no idea where it all I messed up down the line. But I'm back for another episode 19 of the MMA Monday podcast. I didn't do one this past Monday after the Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley fight because if you guys watch my prediction video, I said I was 100% confident Tyron Woodley would win, yada yada yada. Just very confident saying that if Tyron Woodley doesn't win, then I absolutely know nothing about fighting. And hold on one second. Sorry, I had a burp. And I was pretty much just being very confident, and I said I would shut up and pretty much know nothing about fighting if Woodley loses, and Woodley lost. So I was pretty upset because that was 100% Woodley's fight to lose. I feel like, especially when the fight started, Woodley had Jake Paul exactly where he wanted him. He had him tired, he had him hurt, he had him he had him running away essentially. Woodley, all he had to do was when Paul was circling, pretty much all he did was circle the octagon, the ring, and was just circling away from Woodley. Woodley never even he barely attempted to cut him off with his right hands at all. He just didn't throw anything, and I think it was honestly once the fight started, after that third, fourth round, it was Woodley's fight to lose. He had the fight right there for his taking, and it didn't take it, which is frustrating. Which is kind of similar to his past couple performances in the UFC, where he just doesn't pull the trigger on things, and the fight just goes past him. I don't know what that is. It definitely has to be a psychological thing because I don't understand what else. It's definitely not a physical thing. We saw what he could do when he actually did try to do it, but I don't know. It's frustrating, and I have no idea. Woodley has to live with it now, knowing that he got beat by Jake Paul fair and square. I will say that Jake Paul beat him 100% fair and square. I actually think it should have been a unanimous decision for Jake Paul, not a split decision, and that's coming from a guy that was so very big on Tyron Woodley and wanted him to win very, very badly, and wasn't a big fan of Jake Paul. So that if that tells you anything, I think Jake Paul beat him fair and square unanimous decision. But yeah, I didn't want to really talk about that. Honestly, this is kind of more of an excuse. I was definitely feeling lazy. I actually was gonna make a podcast a little bit later on in the week. I've been super busy, especially with school starting back up and a lot of other things. It's just been a lot of things starting up at once. So it was a little bit hard, but I'm not gonna stop doing my podcast because of that. I might have to here and there maybe throw up an episode in the middle of the weeks, but I'll definitely have the MMA Monday weekly podcast coming out. We had the Ultimate Fighter the day before the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight. They had the Ultimate Fighter season finale. Ricky Turcios, I don't know if you guys watched any of my predictions. I said that either him. I wasn't super big into the bantamweights because I didn't really know much about any of those guys. But I said if I had to predict someone, I'd either say Vince Murdoch or Ricky Turcios, just because Ricky Turcios reminded me of a Tony Ferguson type of character, and Tony Ferguson won the Ultimate Fighter. So I don't know. Ricky, he ended up winning. I was pretty happy for Ricky. It was a pretty exciting fight. Middleweight, I actually really wanted Urbina to win. Overall, I wanted Tresean Gore to win. That was my big pick. He was out of all the fighters in the Ultimate Fighter, he was the one guy that I was super big on, and obviously didn't make it. So Urbina stepped in, and I just thought it'd be cool because Urbina was being the third brother of his family to be on the Ultimate Fighter. None of them really being successful, winning the Ultimate Fighter, and because of circumstances, obviously it would kind of suck knowing that being Urbina, knowing that you got knocked out, and realistically you're not in the Ultimate Fighter, but I don't know. It would still just be cool because it'd be a cool story, I guess, to be the person out of your family to win the Ultimate Fighter, how things unfold. But I don't know. I actually think Urbina was winning that fight in the first round too, and he I don't know, maybe what switched, because it actually looked like Urbina was controlling the fight, and then obviously Battle ended up finishing Urbina and winning the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know. I think out of probably everybody in the Ultimate Fighter, again, I'm probably being biased, but I genuinely believe Tresean will have the most successful career. It's hard to say, though, because a lot of these guys, Ricky is very exciting to watch. Brady, even same thing with Brady. Brady's super exciting to watch with very, very close fight. You could even made a argument that Brady won the fight against Ricky, and every single fight that both those guys, Brady and Ricky, have been in on the Ultimate Fighter that I watched were all like that, just back and forth, really, really fun fights to watch. And Brady to obviously be fighting at that level and have that kind of grappling. And he's either being 22, being that close to winning the Ultimate Fighter. He's definitely still going to get in the UFC, which isn't going to be a problem. But I don't know, Brady. He's still young and he has a lot of room to grow, and probably a higher ceiling than everybody else, just because he's so much younger than everybody else, and he is that good already, and he's being that competitive with these guys. So actually, Brady might be one of the best guys off the Ultimate Fighter, but I just think overall I'm probably going to go with Trayshawn. I think he just has whatever that thing is. He has that thing that makes people really, really good. Obviously, he has the athletic ability, the power, and everything like that. But I don't know. It'll be only time will tell. But I don't know. Giving my predictions for the Jake Paul fight, maybe I should shut up. But keeping it rolling to the fights this weekend, we had the Darren Till versus Derek Brunson card. Honestly, pretty sweet card for a fight night. They had a lot of pretty good fights on there. And I really didn't get to see much of the Ultimate Fighter. Hold on one second. I'm gonna switch something real fast. Let me turn something off. I think for especially in comparison to the fight card next weekend, this is definitely a pretty sweet card. And let me switch back over now. I'm not gonna go through all these fights. I'm just gonna pretty much run through and give some quick thoughts on each one. Didn't really see much of the first fight. Arosa Charles Jourdain, pretty fun fight. Very, very back and forth fight. Good fight. And Arosa looks pretty solid. I mean, he's on I think he's on close to like a 4 or 5 win. Actually, no, he lost his last fight. But before that, I think he was on like a 3-fight win streak. He's won like 4 of his last 5, I'm pretty sure. All of those fights on that 5 streak, whatever, even the loss, have all been finishes. So he's a pretty exciting dude to watch. Jack Shore, Ludovic Shalinian, dude off the Ultimate Fighter. Ludovic looks tough. He looks like he kind of maybe figured out how to pose some problems, but it was a little bit too late in the fight. Jack Shore is a pretty tough dude. He's very well-rounded, moves well on the feet, has pretty solid striking from what I saw. Again, I mean, Ludovic's not the best striker, but he looked like he moves pretty well and has some pretty good striking. And obviously on the ground, his grappling is pretty solid. Molly McCann and Jin Young Kim. And I think this fight, I didn't really see much of this fight. I was listening to it because I was driving, and it sounded like Molly McCann. It was a pretty insane back and forth fight, but it sounded like McCann won that fight, and I think she ended up getting a bonus for that as well. Paddy Pimblett, Luigi Verdermini. This fight, I mean, pretty exciting fight, pretty back and forth fight. I will say though, Paddy Pimblett, like in fight week, leading up to the fight, I remember checking his Instagram, and Pimblett only had like 28,000 followers on his Instagram. And I checked it yesterday, and he had like 350,000. So he's obviously like, I mean, UFC's promoting the snot out of him. He was on, UFC posted a boatload about him. He was on Bleacher Report. I even saw him on SportsCenter. He was getting pushed by like every big sports platform, and I think it's kind of weird because I definitely see what they're doing. It makes sense. Like he has that star thing about him. Like he has the look to him, the hair. I don't know what the character look kind of thing is going for. Maybe like a more athletic, grown up Chucky doll, something kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe not Chucky doll. That's not the right. But you get what I'm saying. It's like a weird kind of. It's a character look. At least that's how I see it. The way he talks, he's got the soundbite, and he's obviously an entertaining guy to watch. He has that character thing that makes somebody a star. But he has some holes in his fight style, and I mean that's what I was talking about. That's what made the fight an exciting fight, because something like Verdermini, I remember saying going into this fight, Verdermini is the type of dude you're just gonna hit him, he's gonna get mad, and he's gonna go forward at you and just try to throw bombs and take your head off because you punched him in the face. And I mean, he was throwing a bunch of heat at like some solid right hands at Pimblett, and Pimblett just pulled. His defense does it super well. He keeps his hands down and his head straight up. And I'm not gonna hate on him for having his hands down, because there are a lot of people I really like and a lot of great fighters that fight with their hands down, and you can adjust to it. I mean, you got Muhammad Ali over here, one of the best boxers of all time, fought with his hands down. Sean O'Malley, one of the fighter I like watching. I know a lot of people hate him. Either you love or you hate Sean O'Malley. He fights with his hands down, but people like that do fight with their hands down and they're good fighters. They have the reaction time. They move their head and they can react to when you throw a punch, and they don't really necessarily rely on the blocking, but they rely on getting their head out of the way. Pimblett doesn't really do that. He just pulls back, which, I mean, you are trying to get your head out of the way, but it's not good head movement. If you're pulling your head straight back, you're just going to get clipped on the chin, which honestly is probably worse for you, pulling your head straight back than just, if it would honestly be better if you just kept your head straight there and just took the punch straight on versus pulling back and just getting clipped on the end of the punch. But that's the problem. I think he has some holes in his defense, and I think the UFC pushing him so hard so fast and everybody else pushing him so hard so fast is kind of a disservice, because he had a pretty tough fight against somebody who's, no offense to Verdermini, he's not a terrible fighter, but he's not all that great of a fighter. He's definitely not a top 15 lightweight in a division like the lightweight division that's so stacked. I don't think he's probably going to ever be in the top 15. Pimblett might, but if he's having tough fights with people like Verdermini, he's definitely going to have to tighten some things up. And if they're pushing him so hard so fast, and he doesn't really tighten these holes up, and he's just riding his wave of being a star, or growing into that role of being a star, he might take things so serious. He might not. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I think let Paddy get settled in the UFC, get that experience, because it's so hard. I mean, he talked about how he didn't feel like he was ready for the UFC, waited to get in the UFC, and it's hard to get to that level of the UFC, and maybe he felt like he was at the level to be at the UFC, and he's just like at that point where he is at the UFC, but I feel like to actually climb the ranks of the UFC, take things to the next level, and actually be a competitive fighter, he needs to work on that. And I think the UFC shouldn't push him so hard so fast, because he might lose. You never know if he's having tough fights with somebody like Virgin Meany, and he really step him up against tough fighters. You never know. He might have a pretty tough fight against somebody else that's not all that great, and he loses, and he loses all of his hype, and then you pretty much lost your cash cow, as he likes to call himself. I don't know. I could babble about that all day. But Khalil Roundtree, Modestas Bukauskas, Roundtree was actually a underdog going into this, and it was. I think Roundtree is one of those guys. He has the skills and everything. He's powerful. He's fast. He has very good Muay Thai, but it seems like it's almost like a confidence thing. Like he can't. It's like he didn't. I don't know if he didn't believe in himself. He looked good in this performance. Like it was very similar to his Eric Anders performance. I think the Eric Anders fight was definitely his best fight of his career. But he just looked like he was a little bit more confident in himself. He was just letting his strikes go, which he didn't really do before. He would just kind of almost accept being the nail before the fight even started, and just kind of let people tee off on him, and then never really get his game going. But when he got this fight, he came out fast, and he was throwing bombs, and he was ready to go from the time the bell rang. And I think when he has that approach, he's very hard to beat, because he's a scary dude. Because when you get in a firefight, like when you're going back and forth exchanging punches, you don't want to get hit with one of his punches. The dude flipping hits like a truck. I mean, you saw got Bukauskas with that oblique kick, that side kick to the knee, and completely trashed his knee. So I mean, the dude's a scary guy. Keeping it rolling, the Zawada Morano fight, I didn't really see much. I just know that Morano won. I didn't really see any of this fight at all. Same thing with the Aspinall Spivak fight. Oh, sorry. I feel like I had a burp and it never actually came out. It might come out when I start talking. But Tom Aspinall, I wanted Tom Aspinall to win. I bet on him. He ended up getting the first round knockout against Sergey Spivak. I was actually kind of hoping this fight would play out on the ground, because Spivak actually has some pretty good grappling. I think he has like a sambo background, and Aspinall pretty solid jiu-jitsu background as well. Aspinall is just a pretty well-rounded heavyweight overall. I definitely think he was he was my most underrated heavyweight in my most underrated UFC fighter video. And I think he'll be somebody fun to watch. He's definitely probably going to be a top-ranked heavyweight here soon. Derek Brunson, Darren Till. I was pretty upset about this fight because I'm a big Darren Till fan. I just think something seemed off about Darren Till. Maybe he has to think about going back down to 170, because he just looked like he didn't have that. I mean, he looked fine, but he didn't look like he had that same spark. He didn't look like he was moving the same. Maybe he also wasn't throwing as diverse as a striking approach that he would normally has. He didn't throw very many kicks at all, and maybe that was because the potential threat of getting taken down by Brunson. But all he was doing was rinse and repeating his 1-2, trying to land that left hand. And every time he'd throw that left hand, he seemed like he was out of range. I don't know, maybe if it's like a southpaw versus orthodox thing, where like every time Brunson would pull away because Till's jab would come in, and obviously your jab is going to be the same side as your lead leg. And so he just slipped to the outside of his jab because Till's a southpaw. So he just go to the outside, and his lead leg's right there, and he's already out of the way of the left hand. And every time he would throw that left hand, Brunson was out of range, and he was right there for a takedown. So I don't know. It was kind of Till didn't look like he. I'm a big Till fan, and I still think Till has all the skills to be like a good middleweight. Even Brunson said it himself. He just has to make a few small adjustments, and he really thinks that Till can be like he's one of those top guys, and I still believe that too. But I also feel like maybe he doesn't look like he has the same movement and speed, and I don't know. He just doesn't look as light on his feet, and that could just be because he's fighting at 185. And he talks about how making weight at 185 is absolutely no problem. Like he was out eating at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, Hell's Kitchen in Las Vegas, during fight week, stuff like that. Like he didn't seem concerned. He was talking about eating like chocolate and stuff during fight week, which before he was like eating an almond a day for his caloric intake for a whole flipping day during fight week, stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe it might be something to consider thinking about going back down to welterweight, because he says he can make welterweight still, which isn't a problem to him. I don't know, because it just seems like he had a fairly competitive fight with Robert Whittaker, which is back and forth. I think Whittaker won that fight clearly. And then the Gastelum fight was, I think he was just bigger than Gastelum, which probably made it a lot easier. And Gastelum's a pretty small middleweight, so it was easier for Till to keep him at range and hit him with the shots. But I don't know. I just think Till seems like he might have some problems fighting against big middleweights. Like Adesanya's Till's a big dude, but Adesanya's a lot bigger. There's even a picture of Darren Till and Adesanya online somewhere. Let me actually see if I can pull it up, because you can actually get a feel for how big Adesanya is, because Till's a big dude. Like that, I think a lot of people realize that Darren Till's a pretty big dude. Even like he looked bigger than Derek Brunson, which is crazy to think that the dude made welterweight, and then being bigger than most middleweights, which is pretty crazy. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and figure out what I'm trying to type. It's kind of hard to do. Let me see if I can find this picture though. Yeah, here you go. This is a good example. Adesanya is a pretty big dude in comparison to Till, and Till's a pretty big. I mean, he looks big at middleweight, so I think he might have problems against somebody like Adesanya, where if he can't get in range on someone like Brunson. I mean, go back and watch the fight. Every time he threw the 1-2, he was out of range. He was just like this much out of range, and he's gonna have a hard time closing the distance on somebody like Adesanya. So that might be a little bit tough. I still want to see that fight though, Adesanya Till. I think a lot of people want to see that fight. Even that's the fight both of them want, but it's up to Till. Till's got to win some fights. Like he had a fight against the number one contender, very close fight, could have won, didn't win, and he probably could have been next in line for the title. And then even they said, even though he's coming off a loss, they said if he beats someone like Brunson, he could be next in line for it. Like he's right there, and it's just up for him to take, and he can't take it. I don't know. It's just weird because the dude was 17-0 all the way up until 2018, 17-0, and then since then he's 1-4 in his last 5. So it's frustrating to watch. I think he can still figure. He's 28 years old, and I mean he's fighting. He's already been at the top of 2 divisions at 28. I mean, fought for a title at welterweight, been at the top at middleweight, been this close for fighting for a title. I mean, you're 28 years old, so you have all the experience in the world. He talked about how he looks up to like Charles Oliveira, Michael Bisping, those type of guys that like kind of went through the same thing, the trials and tribulations of, winning and losing, but still just sticking to it and trying to get there to win the belt. I think he can do it. He has the mindset, and he's obviously still young and has loads of experience for someone that's not even really in their prime yet. So I'm not going to count Darren Till out, but I just think he needs to make some adjustments, and if he really wants to take his game to the next level. I'm not going to get into the fights though next weekend, because I like looked online, like I can show you the card like is not even the card's this week. It's Monday, and they don't even have a full fight card on the UFC's website, which is kind of weird. So I'm not even going to break it down. And plus, the main event itself is nothing that I'm super like this is a crazy card. Like let's talk about this. I mean, Ryan Spann, Anthony Smith. I think Anthony Smith, it's going to be a boring fight, but I think Anthony Smith is probably going to win pretty decisively. They don't even have anybody on the main card besides the main event, and they have 3 fights in the prelims. I'm not going to talk about this, but yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the podcast. I know it was kind of brief, and I had obviously I had recorded another one and didn't go through, so I wanted to record this one because I didn't want to go 2 weeks without doing the podcast. I'll definitely see you guys later on this week for a video, definitely for sure. Hopefully, probably we'll see you guys next Monday, or sometime next week if, like I said, I don't get around on Monday. Even though it is MMA Monday, I will get the podcast out to you guys during the week sometime. It's a weekly podcast, and I'll get it out for sure. But I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, please be sure to drop a like, share my videos, share my content. If you guys know anyone else that enjoy this type of stuff, please send my video their way. I greatly appreciate it. The likes, the comment, the subscribe, everything you guys can do for me. It's completely free, you guys. It's literally the click of a button, and it's invaluable to me. I know it's corny. I say it all the time after all these podcasts and videos, but really it's true. If you guys just click a button, it really helps me out a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I will catch you guys hopefully later this week, definitely next week.